Hello, this is Kyle, and this is the Good Knowledge, Evil Ignorance podcast, episode 2. You're not crazy, and neither am I, and that's what I want to talk about here today. We established, I think, in a very amateurish and probably non-very rock-solid way last episode, that there is, in fact, a truth out there. There's some good things out there that are true, and not everything is just an opinion, and not everything can be made up by ourselves. And one of the things I thought I'd talk about right now in my closet was this lovely Nietzsche quote, this Friedrich Nietzsche quote that I very much enjoy. It's those who were seen dancing were considered crazy by those who could not hear the music. And I gotta say, I haven't had everything figured out as well as I do for that long, but there is something that I've been told quite some time throughout my time working and going to school is that, Kyle, you're always so happy. Or, Kyle, you always have a good attitude. Or, good God, how are you so happy in the morning? Why are you so happy? I've actually heard people tell me that in a playful way, obviously, but that it irritates them how happy I am in the morning or how much energy I have. And I've had people in a like I said, in a playful way. I think we only really had one or two people actually think I was unhinged in a non-healthy way. They were still nice about it, but most people say it in a nice way. Kyle, you're crazy. And this, I think, goes back to the truth thing. Is there a prime way of being? Is there a good way to be in the world, or can we all just kind of be how we want to be and we're all going to find happiness and joy and purpose anyway? I personally don't think so. Then again, I know nothing. So I guess we'll just have to think about it here in my closet real quick and see what we come up with. I've always been considered by myself and others to be a morning person, but is there such thing as a morning person? Most people who I've talked to who sleep in well past 10 o'clock, they're not always the happiest person to be around. They're not miserable, but sometimes they are, but at least they're not always super happy. And you don't have to, happiness isn't the purpose in life. That's not what I'm trying to say here. You don't have to be happy all the time. Sometimes being happy is not necessary. You can be sad or grumpy or whatever, or should you? I don't know. Maybe not. Obviously, there are hard times that we all go through, but I'm going to speak on like the general normal day. Going to work, getting up in the morning, going to work, and going home and eating and going back to bed. Let's just pretend that there aren't really hard times going on. It's just a standard day. Maybe you're watching the news, you're a little bit upset about what you're seeing there, or you're a little upset about an interaction you had with coworkers or with a guest, if you're in the customer service business. Just a normal day. And in that normal day, how much joy are you experiencing? And I look at myself when I answer this question. I experience quite a bit of joy throughout the day. Normally, when I'm driving to work, I am listening to music. Sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes audiobook, whatever, YouTube video. But the times where I experience the most amount of joy, besides it being a super meaningful podcast or YouTube video or audiobook, is when I'm listening to music. I am dancing and jumping and jiving and vibing in my car as I'm on the way to work. And it's all sorts of music, and it's always a fun time. And these are also on days where I am usually waking up in the morning pretty early. I usually never sleep in past 9. Like this morning, I got up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning to take my girlfriend to work. And I took another nap about 6:10 and slept in until about 8:30, and then woke up and drank some coffee, played some video games, and now I'm here with you. It's about 10 o'clock. Oh, it is. It's 10:01. And I feel great. Obviously I've had some coffee, but not a lot. I just feel happy. I'm just up. I got to see the morning. I got to see the sunrise this morning. And that's normally my morning, is I experience the beginning of the day. And I've done that relatively consistently for the past, I don't know, the majority of my life, actually. The majority of my adult life ever since I was 18. So, do the math, 6, 7, 8 years. And I don't know. It always makes me happier. And I'm always feeling like I'm on top of the world sometimes, especially depending on the music I'm listening to. And I get this from a lot of people, and I know someone very closely who sleeps in well past noon. They crush the whole, not in the good way, they crush the whole first half of the day in their bed sleeping. And maybe they wake up a little bit, search Facebook, and then they fall back asleep. And then they get up, and they're always kind of cranky. They're not happy. They're always complaining about things. I mean, when I say always, I mean like almost everything is a complaint or a negative observation or whatnot. And I don't know. I mean, is there a way to be? Is a morning person? Is being a morning person just a way of justifying you sleep, or is not being a morning person just a way of one justifying them not waking up early in the morning? I don't know. You know what? I want to think so. Or like I said, I know nothing. I'm going to keep reiterating that throughout however long this podcast lasts. But it seems to me like the people who sleep in well past morning are not as happy. And they're not as full of meaning or purpose. Music doesn't do to them what it does for me. I describe all the time the feelings I get with music, and they go, whatever. They listen to pop or rap or EDM. Oh my gosh, the dance music that some people listen to. Like, I get it. It's like that lo-fi studying beat. Like I have a friend who plays poker all the time. He listens to these like lo-fi consistent beats all the time, and it's like, man, I don't know. If I'm ever going to listen to music, it's got to be something. Something's got to be going on in that song to give me some kind of motivation, and maybe that's just me. And I'm perfectly happy. I should preface this with I'm perfectly happy with it just being me. I'm not trying to change people. But what I would like to do is if there is something that I can change about my fellow man and myself, it would be to have your day be a little better. Have it be a little happier. I mean, I go to work and I enjoy it every day. I enjoy being at work. There are times where I wish the day would go a little quicker. Maybe it's a little slow. Maybe I am a little tired. Maybe I drank a little much the last night. I'm a little hungover and I don't have the amount of energy I normally do. But even on those days, even on the days where I'm hungover, and now that I don't smoke weed anymore, the hangovers are more prevalent. I don't drink that heavily. So it's not like I'm getting smacked when I wake up in the morning, but they're there, right? It's a little drowsy, right? The head may be a little sore. Might have a little less energy. Might be a little more tired on those days, those few days, those rare days. But still, I walk into work with a smile, and I'm happy. And yeah, I feel like some people think I'm crazy sometimes because of how happy I am. They think I'm either faking it, and people have said as much, so I'm not just guessing. I'm not just projecting. People have said as much. They go, come on, Kyle, like lighten up. Or not lighten up, but ease off the brakes, buddy. Or that's not right either. Just ease up, Stop trying to be so happy all the time. Like it's okay to be sad. And I go, dude, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, I've been sad before. I've been angry, but I do that by myself. I do that in the comfort of my home. I do that in the comfort of my own home. Gosh darn it. I'm not going to be sad around people. What the heck? That's rude. I find that rude. All right, and I know nothing, and there's truth in this world, and I think the truth is that if you're going to be a miserable person around someone, that's very rude. It is. That's very rude. And I've done that before, And you can always see it right away when you're kind of letting yourself. Now, there's a difference between when you have a genuinely sad moment and you're in the company of a close friend. Yeah, you're allowed to be that way. But I'm talking about at work. I'm talking about the general day, and gosh, I'm around people who sometimes complain about everything. They have a negative thing to say about everything. And they'll try to gossip about coworkers around me, and I just kind of shrug it off. And I haven't gotten to the point where I've found a combination of words to say, hey, enough. Stop doing this, please. And I want to do so in a kind way because I don't want to be mean. I don't want to make them feel bad about what they're doing because I don't like making people feel bad. And that's not at all my goal. But I would like to somehow communicate to them, hey, this is my happy place, or at least I'm trying to make it that. And I don't want to spend my hours here being negative and talking about people who I work with behind their back in a negative way because they're going to do the same thing about you. And what do you want me to do? The same thing I'm going to do with you? Or do you want me to be a little honest and say this is inappropriate, we should stop doing this? And I used to be a gossip girl. There are some times where something will happen at work and I almost immediately want to tell a coworker what just happened about the other employee. And sometimes it comes out because I'm a flawed human being who makes mistakes. Even to this day. I know, right? Shocking. But I've actually gotten a lot better at it to where I just let it go and I forget about it. And maybe I think, well, Kyle, you're probably just misinterpreting it. You don't know exactly what's going on in their life, or maybe you misinterpreted what they said, or yada, yada, yada. So do not spread that, you jerk. And, I'm pretty good at that. And, I really think, I'm going all over the place, I know. I apologize. Hopefully you can follow the thread that's in my head. But I really think that a lot of the way you feel throughout the day is decided by yourself throughout the day. You choose how to feel, or at least I do. I don't want to say you do this, you do that, you should, you shouldn't. I hope you understand it's a proverbial kind of sense, the general you, but I should try to use I more often because I am just speaking from my own experience. But also with a addition of other people telling me how their life is. So it is with other people. And I'm, the equation that I'm using to talk about all this stuff has the input of other people, not just myself. But I will try to just speak about myself. I definitely can feel that I choose how to be throughout the day. If I feel as if I'm getting a little sad or unenergetic or tired or angry, angry is a big one for me. A lot of people seem to be under the impression that anger is natural, that you can't control it, and that it is just what it is, and it's okay to feel that way. And this has been a feeling of mine for quite some time. A very large part of my life, actually, is that no, anger is really not that great about 99% of the time. 95% of the time, anger is what happens when reality meets expectations and your expectations are way too high. And that's what I notice about myself. When my expectations are way too high and they meet reality and I get angry, I go, oh, that was your fault. That's my fault. My bad. Oh, you're right. Like when people cut you off, the cliche example I've used before, when people cut you off in traffic, you can get angry and you can give them the finger, or you can give them two fingers and just relax and understand that maybe they didn't see you. Maybe they're in a hurry. Maybe there's a person dying in the back seat. Obviously not, but you never know what's going on in that car in front of you. And by giving them a middle finger, if they look in that rearview mirror and they see you, now you created this ping pong cycle of anger. And now instead of one person being potentially in a hurry, now it's two people being angry at each other and frustrated and wondering why. Why did that person give me a middle finger? What did I do wrong? And they're less likely, by the way, if you waved at them and said, oh, okay, well, I'm here, but, it's okay. And then they look back and saw you, they'd go, oh, shoot, man, I cut that guy off. Oh, I'm sorry. It gives them the space to feel bad about their actions and maybe pay more attention the next time. But if I get angry at them, they're more likely to get angry at me, and then no progress is being made in the way of cutting off people in the future. And, I had my roommate blew up our toaster the other day, and I basically walked in there and said, did I bring this up the last episode? Oh, I totally did, didn't I? I think I did. Anyways, to reiterate, I guess, he blew it up. He got a little irritated at first, and then I said, hey, man, everything's fine. Everyone's okay. Let's not get irritated. Let's not blame anybody. I'm not going to blame you. I'll just buy a new toaster. It's just a $30 toaster. And he sent me a text the next night and said, hey, man, I really appreciate that. Like, I was defensive because I made a mistake, and you were there, and instead of being angry, you gave me the space to realize that I made a mistake, and I thank you. Thank you for treating me like that and like a good person and not getting angry with me. And I said, hey, man, if it was me, I'd want to be treated the same way. Golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. Give them the space to decide for themselves that they made a mistake. Don't tell them they made a mistake. Most people know, and I know I'm totally digressing at this point, but I'm actually on a good train of thought here. I think most people know when they mess up. And if you point it out to them, especially in an in a very indelicate way, they're less likely to notice it, they're less likely to change their actions, and they're more likely to just get mad at you and blame it on you. And so whenever someone makes a mistake in front of me, I totally back up. I'm like, dude, whatever, who cares? It's all good. Everything's fine. And it could be a huge mistake. As long as I know it's a mistake, like if they're doing it on purpose and they are maliciously acting towards me, which is very rare, it's happened in a couple times, I'll call it out and I'll put the foot down and I'll say, hey, this needs to stop. But if it's a genuine, honest mistake and it's done so out of maybe a lack of forethought, or maybe just because they're being stupid, or maybe because it's just a mistake and we're all humans and we do that. That's a common thing we all do. Then yeah, I back the heck up And I say, it's all good, man. I mean, things happen. Let's just get it fixed. Let's take care of it, and then we'll move forth. If you want to pay me back for the damages, whatever. If you want to buy me dinner, whatever. Do whatever you need to do to feel good about yourself, but everything's fine. We're okay. We all make mistakes, and I know that if I was in your shoes, I would like to be treated this way. And, it goes back to a lot of memories as a kid being yelled at by adults for, like, what seems like to be the smallest of things. I remember I had a friend who broke a lighter, and an adult, got really mad at them for breaking a lighter. And I remember thinking as a kid, it's like, well, I mean, he didn't really mean to do that, and it's a $1.29 Bic lighter. How big of a deal is this? And that's stuck with me ever since. And, I think it goes all the way back to where I started is, how are you starting off the day? How is this person starting off the day? Are we starting off the day where we're snoozing the alarm 8 times and we're frustrated at getting up and we're frustrated at wanting to go to work or needing to go to work, and we don't like our coworkers and everything's just a struggle in the first 10 minutes of your day? Or are you just waking up with a smile on your face? You're going, oh my gosh, I feel tired, but whatever. Here goes the day. Within 10 minutes, you're awake. At least I am. The drowsiness is kind of worn off, especially if you take a shower or start drinking coffee pretty soon. You start to get that drowsiness off, especially if you be consistent about this. If you have your circadian rhythm figured out, like mine, I can't sleep past 9. And even when I do, I feel sluggish. If I get up around 7:30, that's like the perfect day for me, or at least it's the best way of waking up, because I pop right out of bed, I get up, I start doing things. I either go to work, or I maybe spend the first hour or two playing some video games to wake up, or I go outside and drink my coffee and enjoy the sound of my freaking air conditioner outside. Gosh, that thing's getting annoying. Anywho, I enjoy the world, and I listen to music, or I listen to a podcast, and I do something instead of sleeping through it all and missing it. And that also happens to be with how you end your day, the day prior. Did you stay out all night drinking? Or did I stay out all... see, there I go, using the proverbial you again. Did I stay out all night drinking? Did I stay up late and watch TV? Or did I go to bed on time and get a good, 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep? 7 hours of sleep tends to be the best for me, I think. It's around 7 hours. And yeah, we're all different. Maybe you need 9 hours of sleep. Maybe you're okay with 6.5 hours of sleep. Maybe you're okay. Maybe you are the kind of person where you feel great and you wake up around 10 o'clock. Whatever. Maybe you work late, right? You work until midnight, so you kind of need those 2 hours at the end to wind down, and then you need your 8 hours, so it's around 10 o'clock. That's fine. I'm speaking more on the radical side of things, where people are sleeping past how much they need because they feel tired or they feel whatever. And, I remember having a friend who made this wonderful observation. He had a depressed girlfriend, or a girlfriend that was prone to depression. And they were talking about it in a very honest way, and he was relating this conversation to me. And he said, well, are you sleeping in late because you're depressed, or are you depressed because you're sleeping in late? And I think that's where I've been trying to go for the past 18 minutes on this little ramble in my closet. There seems to be a lot of anxiety out there in the world, and a lot of sadness, a lot of depression, a lot of hopelessness, a lot of nihilism. And how much of that is created by physiological decisions that we are making? Is that the right word, physiological? How much of that are taking place in our brains because we're not getting up on time, and because we're not nourishing ourselves properly, because we're not working out, or because we're eating too much, or... how much of the sadness and the depression that's going on in our lives is coming from us doing the wrong things throughout the day? And personally, even though I know nothing, and I really do think that there are truths to how we should live our day. And I think depression, and I've had it, I've been through it, and every now and again it still happens, but it happens significantly less to me now, and I'm going to try to explain why. But I noticed that when I was depressed, and when I was going through those moments, it was because I wasn't living my life in certain ways. I was behind a screen way too much. I was smoking way too much pot. I was drinking way too much alcohol. I wasn't getting up on time. I never worked out. I always ate too much. I mean, I was doing almost everything wrong besides going to work and making money. And that's kind of how I justified all my bad habits, and I'm productive. I go to work, I make money, I pay the bills, I do the dishes, I do laundry. Everything else is I'm treating myself. And yet I'd have like a week where I was just down in the dumps. I mean, I couldn't do anything. And I think it was because, now I know it was because I was not living my life properly. And this goes to the truth. There are truths in life, and one of them is that there are wrong ways of living your life. Yeah, sure, there might be morning people and non-morning people, but if you sleep in past 12, you're setting yourself up for some sadness throughout the day. You're missing possibly the best part of the day, and you're waking up to where everything's loud and hot and bright, and the day's already going on, and you're just kind of thrown right in the middle of it, and then you have like a couple hours until you go to work, so you really don't have any time to gear up, and then you go, I'm totally rambling here, and I hope you understand, but think about it. When I was going through these hard times, I was also eating McDonald's all the time, and I was eating junk. And I was junk in and I was junk out, And to me, that is indicative of there being a proper way of being. There are things in life that you need to do, that I need to do in order to have an easier time feeling happy. And I gotta say, it's been like 2 weeks since I've stopped smoking weed. I have had no cravings. I have had no interest in picking it back up other than the sheer enjoyance of it. I really do enjoy it. I think pot's a wonderful thing. It really does make some things more interesting and better, and it makes you think in a different way. But it was becoming a habit of mine, and it was a cure. It helped me. It used to help me with depression, and it did. And now I think I've created a way of thinking and being that I don't need pot anymore to help with that, because I've gone 2 weeks, and everything's great, and I'm still happy, and I'm still bopping my head on the way to work. My girlfriend notices it. She notices how happy I am despite not being high all the time. My coworkers are surprised. They didn't notice I stopped. In fact, if anything, they thought I started smoking more because of how happy I am at work. I've found a way of thinking and being that makes me happy consistently throughout the day, and I wonder if that can't be true for other people as well. And I guess that's just what I'm trying to do here, is give you an example, which is me, of what I'm trying to say, and then maybe you can go and try it. I mean, I'm not trying to fucking change your life here, buddy. I'm not trying to tell you that you're doing the wrong things. This is for you to decide. I am just thinking and talking in a closet. That's all this is. But I think I got something here. And it is, first off, accepting that there is truth in life, that there are things that are greater than me that I cannot create, that I have to go and seek and find and work for. And second, it's by doing some proper things. And like I intermittent fast, so I don't eat for the first half of the day. So I'm not consistently putting junk in. My body is cleaning itself out every now and again. I wake up early, and I do things that I don't necessarily, I do things that the lazy animal inside of me does not want to do. I wake up at 5:30 and take my girlfriend to work. And she's always giving me an excuse to not do that. Kyle, stay in bed. This is crazy. Stop being weird, but I thoroughly enjoy it. And there is a part of me that goes, dude, let her take an Uber. Let her take her scooter. Go to bed. Jesus, get some sleep. You don't have to do this. You're so tired. Come on, man. But the me, Kyle, the soul, the actual being that lives inside this fleshy temple, so to speak, I enjoy it and I feel happy about it. And I would feel terrible if I knew that I had the capacity to take her to work and yet she had to take an Uber with some smelly person and pay $10 to do so, just to go 6 minutes to work. I do things and I make sacrifices, no matter how small they are or how big they are, that tell me that I'm on the right course, that I'm in the right direction, that I'm doing the right thing, and that I'm sacrificing parts of myself for other people. And I think a good way to end the next 5 minutes is to talk about a situation I had with a coworker yesterday. And we were talking about narcissism. And I can't remember how it came up. But I can't remember. It was like, I said something like, wow, I really can't wait to see how our generation, like our-ish, like she's like 5 years older than I am, but like the general generation, I can't wait to see what we all look like in 20 years. Because I think we have been taught to love each other so much, and that is the bedrock of narcissism. And then she cut me off, and she said, well, I don't think loving yourself is the bedrock, is narcissism. And it was funny because I said, well, I'm pretty sure that is the definition. And she's like, no. Narcissism is not self-love. Go look it up. And I said, no. She said, no, look it up. I said, well, okay. The only reason I'm looking this up is because you told me to. I don't like checking people on the spot with Google. It makes me uncomfortable. I think it's a rude thing to do. I think you should be able to talk about it with yourselves and figure it out. But she said it. She said Google it. So I Googled it right in front of her. I Googled it, define narcissism, and it said self-love. It said the passionate admiration of oneself. And another synonym was self-love. And she goes, oh, well, there are different forms of narcissism. So she backed up pretty quick. I'm not trying to make her seem bad. It was just kind of funny because, and I'm not trying to insult her, but I'm going to describe this individual to some extent and then combine that with this idea that loving yourself is not a bad thing. First of all, she doesn't have a boyfriend, and that's fine. Some people say you don't need that. Okay, maybe it's true. I don't see how you'd want to go through life by yourself. This is such a weird, bizarre thing. I full-heartedly accept that I cannot do this by myself. I need someone. I need a woman to be by my side and help me get through this world. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She lives by herself, which is fine. But she's 5 or 6 years older than I am, and she has a job that she likes, maybe, but she always seems kind of close, very easily irritated. She seems very easily, she's just quick to anger, and she's quick to frustration, and she's very passive-aggressive sometimes, which makes me see the other, when she's like being happy, I look at her with side eyes and like, what's going on here? And I don't want to disparage her. I mean, this is all my interpretation. She could be totally fine. She could be like in her closet saying the exact same things I'm saying, just with different terms. So I'm just kind of guessing here, but I'm also just going off of what I've seen and what I've seen her say and do. And I bet in her mind, she's probably thinking, oh, well, I don't need these things to be happy. I don't need a boyfriend. I don't need a direction in life other than to other than pursuing my own desires and goals. And I think incorrect. I think wrong. And yeah, I know nothing, but I think no. I think one of the reasons why I'm so happy and I find joy, and don't get me wrong, I'm sad and I have hard times sometimes, even now. But the reason I am capable of finding the amount of joy I have in my life is because I have accepted that there is something in life bigger than me that I need to give myself to. And part of that is my community. Part of that is my family and my friends and my girlfriend. And I think this individual, this coworker of mine, maybe doesn't think that way. And you know what? I know that. I talked to a couple of other coworkers, and I said, yeah, the only way I find satisfaction or the only way I can find true joy is by knowing that I'm not just working for myself. I'm giving, because why would you do that? I don't get that part. This is the part I don't understand. Why, if we're supposed to love ourselves and sacrifice ourselves to ourselves, then why? I mean, what's the point? Where are you at the end of your life? You have no family. You have no kids to carry on your memory, which, again, might be fine for some people, but I don't think it is. I mean, think about it. We're animals. If you take the soul out of us, if you take this whole idea of there being a purpose in life, then the only purpose in life is to procreate. And, I mean, that's what ants do, right? The only thing the ants do are build the nest, protect the queen, procreate. Build the nest, protect the queen, procreate. That's the only thing any other animals do, is wake up, eat, have sex, propagate, make more of themselves, and try not to get eaten by a lion. Like, that's all that animals do. That's all that life does, is continue. And so who are we to think that by not doing that, we're going to find satisfaction in life? I mean, yeah, there are some people, I get it, and I think it's the minority who really are meant to not have kids. And you know what? There's a lot of people who probably shouldn't have kids right now, but that's because either, respectively, they're high-powered CEOs that are out there in the world making billions and millions of jobs for us, or they're uneducated and they're not in a good position to have kids, but they might be at some point. And maybe you could even make the argument. I get a lot of people, oh, Kyle, aren't you bothered by the amount of wealth that are owned by one person? And I go, well, not personally, no, but maybe they'd have less wealth all of themselves if they decided to not be a superpowered hype CEO and have a family. Like maybe if they maybe if Jeff Bezos, and I don't know if he has a kid or not, but let's just use him. Let's just say he was happy with how Amazon was 20 years ago. And he's like, all right, great. Well, let's just keep sending products to people. I guess 10 years ago. Let's just keep sending product. Let's not buy a newspaper. Let's not keep making insane amounts of money. Let's just keep providing a good service. And now I'll have it on autopilot, and now I'm going to go have kids and be happy. I think having a family is it's got to be like the easiest way to self-actualization, because you are giving yourself to something that is greater than you, because you're going to die. And if you're not worried about what happens after you die, that's fine, but I am. Think about all of the billions of people who have come before us, who have sacrificed and lived lives of absolute misery and have made they have worked and died and suffered so that you and I could be here right now as I'm sitting in my bathrobe, sipping coffee, talking into a microphone in my closet about whatever I'm talking about. Think about that. And you're just going to get to this point in life and then stop. You're just going to die with no kids, and you're not going to continue. You're not going to sacrifice. You're not going to give to your community or your family. You're not going to give back. You're not going to pay the generations that have been wiped out before you so that you could be here right now in this amazing society, and we're just going to stop? Think about that. I've thought about that a lot, and that alone tells me, nah, I have a duty. And yeah, you know what? I actually think I could be pretty happy if I just disappeared onto a sailboat and sailed around the world and just was myself. I could be hedonistically happy. Load it up with marijuana, load it up with whiskey, and just sail around the world and be with all the women I ever want to be with, and drink all the alcohol I ever want to drink, and smoke all the pot, and just be a lazy bum. And yeah, I could really enjoy that. But then at the end of my life, there'd be nothing. And, you know, I'm not crazy. I know that by giving myself to something other than myself is the way to be. I know that is a truth. And I know nothing, but I know that, right? And I know that's probably the case for the majority of us. And it's hard because it involves going against almost everything we've been taught in our lives, that you are the master of your own destiny, and you should do what makes you happy, and you can make up your own values, and you don't have to listen to everybody. You know, we're all our own people. There's an infinite ways of interpreting reality, and they're all equally valid. It's like, no. I reject that. There is purpose in this world, and that purpose is what you give it, or is what you make of it. But, you know, like I said, just think about all of those billions of people who have sacrificed and died right up until us. Think about the way this country is founded. Think about the way Europe was founded. Think about just all of the terrible parts of history that have led us to this moment so that you and I can sit here and talk about whatever. And I can eat potato chips and drink coffee and live a life of absolute luxury when you compare to anybody. I mean, think about it. You and I are living lives of absolute luxury, even if you compare ourselves to the kings of 500 years ago. We are awesome. You are living better than a king 300 years ago. And so am I. And I am not going to just stop that line because of my own selfish greed. I'm not going to love myself because I don't think I should. I should love others. I should give myself to others and sacrifice and work for others and not just myself. There is something greater than me out there, and I am going to go and find it and work for it. And I am not crazy, and neither are you. They just can't hear the music. And it might just be because they're not listening for it. It might be because they don't even think the music is out there. I think a lot of it is because they don't even think the music's out there. They see us dancing, and they're like, what the fuck, man? Like, Jesus, these guys are crazy. They believe in God, or they believe in a kind of God. They believe in duty and purpose. They think they have to sacrifice. What's going on? What the heck? Why would you ever think that? That's whatever. You should be in it for yourself. Nah. And like I said, I don't really know how to come to a close here. But I guess I'll just stop on there for now. And that'll be another thing we've discovered here. At least I think I've discovered here over the course of 35 minutes. There are truths, even when it comes to how we should wake up in the morning. And, yeah, I think that's a good place to stop. Thanks for listening. This is the Good Knowledge, Evil Ignorance podcast. I'm Kyle, and we'll be back. We'll try it again. Oh, and real quick, also, if I've said anything here that you vehemently disagree with, or you think, wow, I have an actually really good comeback that he hasn't thought of, there is a way to tell me. I have this podcast has a Twitter. It's at GKEI2023. Good knowledge, evil ignorance 2023. There is a Twitter. I'm going to try to set up a dedicated email account for this podcast so that you can tell me whatever you want. And honestly, I like that because that would give me more things to talk about, because there are times where I'm going, what am I going to say? So that'll be there. Okay, so yeah, thanks. At GKEI 2023 for all your comments and concerns.